Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
Welcome one, welcome all.
Indeed, everybody, yep.
Please do subscribe to both channels and get that little bell clicked. Evolutionary Energy Arts, where we put one up talking about 46 testing positive for the plague upon the land. You know, a day after we were talking about him making a statement where he basically said he has the big C. And we know there's the winds of change in the air. Big change is obviously upon us. So we're going to delve a little bit deeper over here. And again, EEARTS is where we do like to go a little bit deeper into the mysteries and into the consciousness aspect, as ultimately we are all co-creators on this ride.
We are, and there's a reason why all of this is happening, all of these changes. And, you know, believe it or not, in one way, shape, or form, on some level that we might not understand, we are creating.
Always creating. As above, so below. There are so many sayings that have so much meaning. And perhaps we don't even go fully into these while acknowledging some veracity to them. So, you know, again, when we look at what's happening in 3D, it is also a reflection of different densities, but, you know, again, not the same, perhaps not to the same degree, as each has its own unique characteristics.
You know, as above, so below, it is really across the board, and many times it's difficult to see right off the bat, and you have to sit with things and see what that means for you. But it does come up on you kind of in a surprising sort of way sometimes.
The microcosm and the macrocosm is another. So this is all about, you know, the big and the small. And again, it's written, ye are gods. Don't you know ye are gods? Meaning you are a god, so to speak. We know through the different legends what we find in all different corners of the world. In China, there's legends that say that in the Golden Age, humankind is just like the gods and can even fly. And we see the same thing reflected in the Vedic tradition. We see the same thing reflected in the Greek myths all around the globe. There's these thoughts, again, about how different time periods bring in different conditions. And it's within each of us, as we are each basically a microcosm of the macrocosm. But in the bigger scale of things, what happens to the planet, what happens to the solar system, and again, even on a bigger scale, what happens out there on a galactic level is reflected in us, and everything that we take on, everything we experience and we do is reflected in it. Think about cells in your body. When you have some cells that become cancerous, they could endanger the whole. And each one of us, again, is a universe unto ourselves with trillions of lives inside you. Just like there are trillions of lives on this planet, if we get down into everything that is an individuated life form on this planet. And again, we could go out into the universe. And the universe itself is only a cell, a single cell in something much, much bigger.
And we all have the ability to create our own surroundings. And I think that needs to be remembered and recalled now more than ever. It's so important that we know we have the power to create everything that goes on around us.
This microcosm, macrocosm relationship, and the fact that we live in a fractal universe, which is only one universe among an infinite number of universes. All this is a reflection of how things work. And we see, when you look at like the shape, the torus shape of the Earth's magnetic field, it's the same thing as the human energy field. It's the same thing as the universe is. When we look at, you know, cellular division, cellular mitosis, and we see the same thing occurring on a much, much larger scale with entire galaxies. It's just mind-blowing to think about it. Yet this is the way the universe works. There's certain patterns. And that keep repeating themselves. And there's certain times of the year that have certain energies attributed to them. And again, we even talked about the fact that when we look to Peter Dunev's prophecy of the galactic superwave that's coming, he said that at a certain time, cyclically, we go through a certain period of our galactic plane that's kind of a dead zone. It's a place where there were horrible atrocities and horrible warfare that had occurred, and the energy, the residue of that affects us, and it allows vibrations to drop, and it pulls us down into a dark age where these dark beings actually rule. The good news is we're going to be leaving that. We basically got our toes pointed out the door, so to speak, right now. Now we know the observer effect shows us, quantum physics has shown us that, reality is just waiting to happen. It's all about the observer. And again, we are not the byproduct of chemical reactions in our brain. No. This body is just a vehicle for us to use while we're having this 3D experience. All of us are co-creating our own realities. Now, if we have our individual realities and we have consensus reality, sometimes it can become conflicted, and they can actually, smash up against each other. This is where the powers that be understand that they can create their desired reality by seeding our thoughts with their desired reality. So if they want a one world system, if they want all the world to get down and worship a certain group of beings or a certain being, they sow those seeds. If they give us certain foreshadowings of things that are to come, they give us prophecies that we will help to fulfill with our own co-creative ability. Well, that just helps to bring about the reality that they desire in the first place. Again, the entire universe exists within you. This is that, again, as within, so without. The pathway to freedom lies within, not without.
And when we learn to understand these things and be able to contemplate them and just sort of take off our training wheels and give this a try and see how we do at manifesting, it can be a very, very exciting time. Very exciting. A lot of us are not taught that we're able to do this, but we reach into the world of spirituality and we start understanding things that, hey, we never knew this before. But I know now, and some people, they might try and experiment with spirituality and say, wow, I can create my own surrounding, and we can create our own reality. So that's something that really should be celebrated, because we're having this happen more and more. And more of us are touching other people with their light, and then more people are brightening this world and bringing a new understanding, so we don't have to go along with that old world.
Absolutely. You could swim with the tide or against the tide. If you ever got caught in a tidal current, what kills people is when they swim against it and they exhaust themselves and they go under. Instead, allow it to carry you, and then at the right time, use the momentum to go off on your own path. This is like kind of what we see with Oumuamua that came in, right? Use the gravitational force of the sun to slingshot at 90 degrees in another different direction. Oh yeah, that's just a rock out there. That's not a ship. Yes, of course. We can swim with the tide, we can swim against the tide. The powers that be understand this. Ancient humans understand this. When we look to Easter, right, the celebration of Easter, people will say, well, it's the celebration of the resurrection of Jesus Christ, Jesus of Nazareth, who died for our sins on the cross as a blood sacrifice to God. Again, no. Actually, it's actually an older, quote-unquote pagan, and pagan is thought to be something that's undesirable, something that's lower, something that is a dirty relic of the past, when in actuality it's more closer to the truth. And what we've gotten from the galactics and from our guides, and of course there'll be those of a fundamentalist persuasion that will never get over their indoctrinated brainwashing, is that even on that galactic level, they pay serious attention to solar alignments, to lunar alignments, stellar alignments. They understand that every single heavenly body out there is an intelligence. It is an individual that has its own unique characteristics. And again, look at yourself and the size of yourself. Look at the size of our sun and recognize there are suns that are thousands, 10,000s, 100,000 times bigger than our sun, and supporting so much life on such a vast scale. And think about what type of beings these could possibly be, and what type of energy could they possibly put off that could affect us, given their size and their frequency of energy that they're putting off. It's mind-blowing to think about. So the festival of Ostara is all about new beginnings, and it's all about taking advantage of certain energies. As you see here, this cute little thing showing the hare jumping in the sky, the spring equinox, equal night, September equinox, again, equal nights. This is when day and night are equal length, two energies coming together as one. Opportunity to unify duality within ourselves, awakening to higher levels of consciousness. The feminine and the masculine, spirit and matter. The Ida and the Pingala, the Shiva and the Shakti. We could go on and on with all these analogies. Again, it's all about balancing the energies within ourselves. And it's all about recognizing certain times that are certain opportunities for ourselves. So again, this is where the powers that be, they don't want us understanding when there's opportunities. So when instead of December 21st and basically having the winter solstice, they have us celebrating the birth of Jesus Christ, December 25th. And again, it's all about hijacking stories, giving us a different narrative that's not going to lead us to the deeper realizations within.
Right. I mean, it's very important that they give us a narrative that's going to lead to nowhere, or give us our belief system in such a way that we're not going to be able to gain any fruit. But when we do start to learn how to work with these energies, and we learn that, wow, we can manifest a difference, we can manifest a change, that's where things get interesting. And we're coming up on a time like that, and I mean, just to see and understand how the world talks to us, any of you that are able to go out on a clear night and look at the stars, I want you to just try to speak to them, try to say hello to them and see what happens. I mean, it's really interesting when you realize that your body is able to talk to other bodies. So these are things. This is why they call it occult, because they want to keep it hidden. Because if it is found out that we are all truly one and we can really turn the ship around on our own, that puts them in a not a very good position.
Yeah, again, everything is hijacked. We talked about the word Lord being really just a generic mistranslation. Lord is thought of as being master, like the master of the castle, master of the field, the master of the land. But the reality is Elohim, which is the plural, which means mighty ones. Now, again, they use that term to signify these Anunnaki beings who are not truly mighty ones when we compare them to the stars in the sky, which are far mightier than they are. And when, again, science will tell us they're just balls of gas. They're just, it's just nuclear reactions going on up there. It's not consciousness. Yes, it is consciousness on a very, very high level. And so, the heavenly hosts, so to speak, are visible to us. Just look up. It's right there. It's the stars. The stars in the sky are the heavenly hosts. Those are the true Elohim. And to be at that level, those are benevolent beings.
And they are very much so. And I think what's really important to note is while we're walking through this reality, there's always all of this talk about the veil. There is the veil. And once we realize and we come to a place where we understand, wow, there is no veil. Everything is right before us. Everything we need to grow spiritually, to grow our minds and our bodies and our realities, it's all right here if you know how to look. So things have been twisted in their perception to make us blind to so many things that could help us.
Absolutely. And when we look to all the ancient monuments all around the globe, they're all aligned with the stars. They're all aligned with the precession of the equinoxes. They're all aligned with the solstices. And also, they're all aligned to such a high degree that it boggles the mind. It really, really does. And it gives away the secret that there was much more advanced technology in the past than there is now, and the only difference is that it was used in a much more harmonious, benevolent way. When you look at the alignment of the pyramids at Giza and the precision which they are laid, again, many things that were constructed in a beautiful time in the Golden Age or Silver Age end up being utilized in the Kali Yuga for a totally different purpose. And, the pyramids are aligned on purpose. And again, they point to many different things, give us a lot of different information. And then, going deep into that is really the subject of other videos. But again, they do give us clues as to the big picture of, who we are, where we come from, who we're at war with, so to speak, in this interdimensional, intergalactic war that we find ourselves a part of. And, these alignments have extreme purpose. They are calendars, and they are also clues for humanity to utilize certain energies at certain time periods. And again, whether we're talking about the pyramids in Mexico or the pyramids in Egypt, you find the precision and the alignments are always there. And also there are these ley line places, these sacred energy vortex places that numerous cultures have utilized. Pumapunku is another very fascinating one, and there's so many of these structures that give us clues to the fact that the ancients, they could have done anything we do, but they chose not to live that way because they chose to live in harmony with their surroundings.
And I believe we're really taught right now more than any other time that our thoughts are just invisible things and they really don't go anywhere. Our energy is just this invisible thing, that aura that surround us. Our chakras that bring us life and understanding and information really aren't there, but there are ways you can grow your abilities, you can grow your energy body, and your thoughts become very strong, your energy body becomes very strong, and you can use the other energies around you to create a very peaceful, very harmonious state of being, and for everyone too. And it's just, they don't teach us from kindergarten. If we look at these entities or these controllers, their children learn a different type of information than we do. There's two totally separate thoughts of information that is going on. There's our set of information that teaches us how to run their institutions, and there's their information, which is very much hidden, very much part of the occult, and they teach us to be so afraid of it.
So Pumapunku was dated to at least 13,000 BC by an Austrian explorer, Arthur Pasansky, and he found that the astronomical alignments of the main temple at the site suggested it was built to coincide with the summer and winter solstices and the spring equinox, which would have been about 17,000 years ago. So this is pre-Younger Dryas. The Younger Dryas, again, is that big cataclysm that wiped out the majority of the life on this planet and gave us a huge reset. From what we have gotten, that was most definitely a Anunnaki draconian event that occurred on purpose to do a reset on the planet. The Great Reset is not initiated by humanity. The Great Reset is initiated by non-human beings. That is something for us to realize. And again, these structures are fabulous, and the knowledge that was available there is in many ways much more advanced than what we have now. And again, it's hidden on purpose. When we look to Angkor Wat, that's another fascinating temple complex. And again, the alignments there are spectacular. And, we see shapes there that you see echoed over in India that are really the shapes of the Vimanas. These are the shapes of the ships that came and landed at different time periods here on Earth from the beings that taught us in a benevolent way. The system we have in place here is the Anunnaki Draconian AI system now. And that system is going to be replaced yet again. And we will yet again be visited by benevolent beings that will teach us how the universe really works. And those benevolent beings, again, they don't ask for our worship. No. It's the lower entities, the Anunnaki Draconian AI collective, Borg collective, that demand worship, that view humanity as slaves. The benevolent beings, when they come, they teach us that source is within us. You don't need any sort of structure. As far as there is no dogma, there is no true dogma. Dogma is all a construct of, again, the draconian system that is in place. But they do teach us how to use our consciousness to basically come into better balance and harmony. And this is one of those time periods that we can do it, is at the equinoxes and at the solstices. And it's interesting, too, to see the global alignment of these sites as they do line up in many ways. And many of them are there for a purpose of maintaining balance and harmony on the planet. So why are the solstices and the equinoxes important? Again, these are times of opportunity to take advantage of the bigger energies that are out there. The energies on a planetary scale and on a stellar scale. Because again, everything we see, the planet herself is alive, as many recognize. And every star out there is alive. And the majority of those are in fact supporting life. Life is in abundance. It is in abundance. So when we look to this time frame, again, it varies year to year. The equinox and the solstice in 2022. So as far as the equinox in autumn in New York City, you'd be looking at the 22nd of September. Again, it does vary a little bit depending on where your placement is, northern hemisphere, southern hemisphere. But basically, the time frame, I would say, from the 20th to the 23rd would be a time when we can be utilizing our own little rituals that are something that is constructed by you for you to come into more balance and harmony yourself, and to also help the planet come into more balance and harmony. Now, obviously, the controllers are not about balance and harmony. They're about imbalance and inharmony or unharmony. Yeah, whatever the word would be. Yeah. I'm not going to sweat over it, even though it's 104 out. They know about this. So this is their key time to disrupt us. What's the tools they use? It's always the same. It's fear, anger, jealousy, resentment, all the negative emotions that lower our frequency. So this is a prime time point for them to utilize whatever they can to disrupt us becoming more harmonious.
Right, but we can use this time as a time of manifestation. Visualize what do we want? How do we want things to be for ourselves? And we can have it at a very individual basis, and definitely think big, just really think big when it comes to manifesting. Think how things would be if you could have anything you wanted, and be detailed too. If you want to try a manifesting experiment, be very, very detailed. I've learned in my life that's the most important thing, because you might ask for something, but then end up, if you're not detailed about what you're willing to allow to shift in your life, things might shift and it's like, oh boy, I didn't expect that. So all I can tell you is be detailed and have an understanding that you can have anything you want. And we can use these energies because they are very, very tangible, unlike what they teach us.
Yeah, absolutely. And you could look at the symbol of the cross, and again, that was something that was used in ancient times by many different cultures, mostly using it as a symbol with 4 equal sides. Because again, the 4 equal sides will denote balance and harmony. When we look at the traditional Christian cross of today, it's not equal, it's not balanced, it's not harmonious. And again, what is it really a symbol of? As we've shared, we don't get that it's a blood sacrifice at all. Blood sacrifices were common all throughout the Dark Ages, all throughout the Kali Yuga, in all societies, unfortunately. But we do not believe that the creator of this universe desired a blood sacrifice to appease it. No, that's quite a different type of entity that would do that. So thus, with so many people, just because they've been taught to do so, without looking really deep, without necessarily, spending so much time in deep meditation, and also doing research, comparative research into the history of things, they just adopt this. They just accept and adopt without really questioning and looking what they're really getting into and what they're really promoting. Again, do we ever think that something like slavery, for instance, is justified? I don't think there's ever a situation where slavery is justified. Yet it's condoned in the Bible in many places, Old Testament and New Testament. And that's just a fact. It's right there. Slaves, obey your masters in all things. But then again, that's again part of this Anunnaki Draco AI system that we're in. So when we look to what's called pagan crosses, they usually have 4 equilateral sides, again denoting balance and harmony. So again, there's always the corruption. We're going to share with you a 7-minute message now that we channeled, that came through last night. And, we haven't been sharing as many channeled messages because basically we've both been going through a lot of upgrades and a lot of balancing of our energies. And so we've been kind of taking a break from putting Cindy under. But she has basically had her wiring upgraded, so to speak. Her communications has been upgraded, and so there's more messages that are going to be coming through now. So we're going to share this. Now this is actually, it's a collective, so it's actually the group that we call our primary guides, which does include the Galactic Federation. It does include the ones that we call the mothers, which includes both Marys, Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary, Yeshua, as well as Kuan Yin and Aset, who's known as Isis, and Sophia, Tiamat, also White Buffalo Calf Woman, and I hope I didn't forget any of them. There's quite a group there, and it's also Cindy's higher self, which is coming through more and more all the time. Again, many of us have higher selves that reside anywhere from 5th density up to 6th, 7th, maybe even 8th density. So our higher selves are really the bigger us. What we have here experiencing this 3D reality is just a small portion of the real us, a portion of the totality. as we operate on more densities than one.
Mm-hmm. We do. We operate under a certain understanding too. So we have to remember when messages are being channeled, these entities are channeling from a higher place, looking at things at a certain perception, a certain way. So we have to keep that in mind.
Absolutely. So we're going to share the message with you guys now.
How are you? Yeah, well, we are watching rapid changes occur on your planet with the evolutionary energies that are passing through many who are experiencing these changes. It is a very exciting time to be watching this planet. We are understanding that there are many changes to occur. Usually, these changes are going to occur at the changes of the season. These are the times when any rituals, any conceptions that you wish to give birth to have the most momentum. This is a time when we feel the controllers are going to change the way things are done on this planet, change the way items might get shipped, change the way foods are prepared and stored. There are many changes coming to your planet. We like to see them as opportunities for you to find your sovereignty, find your freedom. Every one of these changes are extremely important. They roll with humanity. Some may not understand the purposes of these changes, but they must occur for your evolution, for your processes. We ask that you do not be afraid of these changes. Things will be different. We feel you are going to perceive things much differently than you ever have. Currently, this channel is going through her own transformations of understanding and her ability to channel informations from other planetary bodies is being prepared for her. We are grateful for your desire to help her prepare for these new worlds. This entity, we are beginning to lose our connection. We are coming back. We do not wish to bring fear to any people. It is critical that the vibration in humanity stay risen for those who wish to free themselves in this lifetime. We know we are asking you to deliver a difficult message of hope and change. If you see these changes through the eyes of a human standing on your planet, these changes would bring fear to you. But we do not wish to deliver fear. We wish to deliver hope and the ability to regain your freedom. We do not see this as any as information is passed through different realms, through different ways, passed with different understandings. We wish to simply convey to you that your understanding of how this world works will be changing in a more positive way. Some may find this view very frightening, but it is growth. We wish for you to see all changes that you are processing as a form of growth, and that it is a positive one. This is all we wish to convey to you at this time.
Thank you for sharing. Namaste.
Namaste.
So that was the message. It's one of change and growth, albeit from a human perspective, in human eyes, it may look like absolute chaos, and it may be very, very fear-provoking, but we are to ride out this storm in a manner in which we stay rooted and grounded as possible. How do you do that? Well, again, it's having that great spiritual base. Know, with your heart that this is a temporary experience in these bodies, and we are eternal. So that is the good news. Everything that we see in this world is all about distortion of reality. It's all their system. People are waking up to the fact that they can't trust the SCIENCE. They can't trust it. They grew up trusting it for the most part, but now people are waking up to the fact that, wait a minute, that was programming. That wasn't what you said it was. That was programming. It's the same thing with our belief structures, our belief systems. The biggest ones on this planet are programming. They're molding your consciousness to bring about the desired results they want. Yet the good news is each one of us, God with the big G, source, is within all of us. We don't need any dogma. We don't need anything. We can certainly help change society by reaching out to each other and starting to come together outside of their system. Their system is all about entrapment, but it's starting to collapse. It's starting to crumble. They are going to get more desperate. They are going to provoke more fear. They are going to clamp down tighter than ever. And at some point, they'll just get rid of the whole ruse that they're doing it for you, and you will know outright they are just doing it to you.
Mm-hmm. And when we talk about the crumbling of the illusion, that's exactly that. It's becoming more and more clear. day by day, heck, even minute by minute, hour by hour, it's becoming more clear that the illusion that we have freedom is just that. It's one huge illusion, because when they have these selections, that's exactly what they are. I mean, you can put in as many votes as you want. This person is already pre-positioned to be where they're at, and they're not going to go anywhere. So yeah, in that sense, that illusion is broken, but we have to wake to the reality that we can do something of our own soul and our own mind and our own heart, and it doesn't have to be part of that system. If we don't like that system, we have choices and options.
Absolutely. The world is going to split at some point in time. There's going to be a splitting of consciousness, and every person is going to have to make their decision. Are they going to become one of the Borg? Or are they going to do whatever they have to do to get outside of that and not become part of that collective, which can entrap you beyond this life? Then that's part of the biggest goal, is to entrap this portion of your soul in a reality that keeps it separated from its higher self. That is their main purpose. It's not even about anything that happens on this physical plane. It's beyond this physical plane. So there again, you have that biblical term in which there is some truth. What good would it do you if you gain the entire world but lose your own soul? Absolutely. This is it. They want to tempt you with everything. And right now it's the whip. Later on, it's going to be the carrot, or maybe the candy bar. Laced with what? It's all about trapping our God spark that's within each of us. They want your source light. That's their ultimate purpose. It's even beyond this physical 3D world. They want to snatch from you your source energy that lies within you and incorporate it in their own Borg. And that's the part that's beyond what anybody else is saying out there. The ones that understand, there's certain agendas out there to maybe trim the number of people that are living on the planet back. That's one part of it, but that's not even the main part. The main part is the God spark that's within you. That's what they really want. That's what they're really after. So again, what good would it do you if you gain the entire world, but not necessarily lose your soul, but become lost or stuck? And this is what we're seeing with people that have done that certain thing that then end up passing on and leaving the 3D plane. The vast majority of them are having a tough time, not like what naturally happens. What naturally happens is a reunion with your guides and your loved ones, and a slow realization that, oh wow, I'm out of the body now. Hey, I'm not the body after all. I'm out of the body. And then that time to learn from your experiences. But what happens when there's cases of tremendous trauma like we see in warfare, this is why warfare is one of the biggest tools they have, is it makes the soul go into shock, and the soul becomes kind of lost for a period of time. And that could last decades, that could last hundreds of years, could last lifetimes before we're able to get to the point where we're not so traumatized that we could go about the normal way of processing a life and preparing for whatever we want to do next.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they really do have the ability to monitor and control every single thought that we have. And if they can do that, if they can monitor our thoughts and control our thoughts, they're manifesting for themselves. And in that sense, they are taking our God spark. But we are sovereign beings. This is how we were born. We came in as sovereign beings. We have options to go out like sovereign beings. And that's where I want to stay. I want to stay as organic as possible, so I can go back into that organic mixture, that that perfect form of source. There is something that we do when we repattern, and we repattern in the form of the golden ratio. And this is what patterns us into our highest self, patterns us into source, and gives us the ability to do everything that we planned on doing when we came here, because we are more attached to our highest self. So they have their own way of repatterning our 3D body so that when it's gone into that etheric ether that they create with all the tablets, computers, all the other entities, it gets stuck in this fake ether is what's being created. So really, I mean, I personally just don't want to go there. I don't want to have that struggle that I have seen that is disturbing. You know, it just bothers me whenever I see it, because I see people are a little bit confused and kind of out of sorts, and however long that takes, well, you know, that's what they have to swim through this fake kind of ether that's quite confusing, because you're not going back to that organic place where you were. You're going to a whole new place where they replicated your 3D body, which puts you into their fake source, so to speak.
Absolutely. You know, so there again, you know, the importance of us realizing what's going on. And if any of you that are listening have done something that you regret now, it doesn't mean it's over. You know, there are ways you can purge yourself, and we do have help from the higher realms that are helping to purge us as well. And this is one of the key things that we would do, again, is do the mantras, because they can't stand the higher density beings. They have a adverse reaction to them. So the more you can pull yourself into a higher vibrational frequency, the more uncomfortable you're going to make it for that technology that's inside of you, and it's going to look for ways to escape. And you might find yourself having skin eruptions and different things, what you might think is acne or rashes and things. You can use borax in a bath, as well as, you know, charging the water yourself. Use your own intention to charge the water with the life force and with, you know, positive intentions, that it be for you a healing bath that's going to restore balance and harmony to the body, and it's going to eliminate any of the NaNO that's inside you. And again, we should be doing these things on a regular basis, a daily basis, so we can maintain our autonomy, because what they want you, it's very much like what we see in the Matrix, you know, a battery, a source of fuel, a source of food, and, you know, basically losing all ability to control your own mind, thoughts, and destiny. This is not what any sovereign being wants. So as always, guys, thanks for your support on Ko-Fi and Patreon. We couldn't do it without you guys. Reach out to us if you need any help. You know, we do schedule people. We usually are about a week or two as far as scheduling to get energy work, any sort of spiritual coaching, chakra balancing, biofield tuning, things like that. 2-3 weeks for Vedic charts. You could reach us at Evolutionaryenergyarts@gmail.com or EEARTS@protonmail.com. Much love. Maintain your autonomy. God bless and namaste.
Namaste.